right, and here we are. So this is my friend Kenny. I actually hooked up with Kenny for this project on NovaNet. So shout out to NovaNet for us being able to meet each other and work on this project. That's really exciting. Okay, so Kenny, I just want to give you a chance to say hi and introduce yourself and just let people know about who you are.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Kenny. Kenny the Astrologer is my business. So I'm an astrologer, tarot reader, and a witch. Um, I do birth chart readings, tarot readings, card pulls, whatever you like. Um, and I started about 3 years ago, officially about 4 months ago. And I just try to educate people, create connections with people, and help everyone just unlock their inner magic.
Hmm.
So that is my goal with my work, and yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out to me. If somebody wants to get a reading with you, how can they get a hold of you and book you?
So you can book with me on my link tree. So it'd be linktree/Kenny the Astrologer. I have book a reading with me there. Or you could also just DM me or email me. I am very flexible with my booking process.
So last time saying thank you for being here. I talked to you before about just wanting to make my YouTube channel a place where teaching is cooler than preaching. So no matter how much I end up studying or learning about metaphysical topics, astrology, tarot, whatever it is, I always want to keep a element of community and an element of bringing others together to speak and share fresh perspectives. And also, I think that's a good way to offer a holistic perspective of what's going on with the collective. I think it's kind of unfair to just look at one person's work or predictions. I think to get the best idea of what's going on, and just to see also whose work you resonate with. It's best that we connect and we collaborate in this way. So, um, we are right now in Saturn in Aquarius, okay? We have a lot of Aquarian influence right now, like period. We've been in it. We've been in the backyard against thick of it. So and looking forward to everybody is really I think concerned about from a United States perspective what the Pluto return is going to look like. Just what our future is going to look like, period. A lot of people are very concerned, very scared. So I think what I see a lot of times too, especially with Twitter being that we're very contained with what we're saying, a lot of people might make predictions or, make observations, and they may not even mean it, but they can incite a lot of anxiety for the collective because we're so uncertain about what's happening right now with our futures. So that is why I have you here today because I am a tarot girl. I am a student of the stars for self development purposes and to enhance my readings. But I want you here because you are more versed in the stars and you are going to help me look for something in the future coming for the US, some kind of hope, some kind of guidance that the average person we can look forward to, we can follow, just to have some hope for the future. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you now and, just see what you have studied, what you've observed in looking forward to the future with some hope. Because we all need it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, we need a lot of hope, a lot of hope. Yeah, this pandemic and just everything going on in the world has like really impacted us, really impacted our country, and just took us all just like out of the loop. Like we don't know what's going on. And I know before like the pandemic hit, we were all just kind of like here. People were already fear mongering about 2020. At least astrologers were. I had seen a lot of just posts about like 2020 is going to be life changing. 2020 is going to be ridiculous. Like get ready for
I
2020.
remember
All this
that.
stuff. And it was like so like nerve wracking. Like even me as an astrologer knowing that things were gonna like get intense,
Hmm.
it's still very like you have all these other astrologers, all these bigger account saying, get ready, prepare, get ready, but not really
Mhm. Mhm.
saying how to, like you said. And so I see that a lot in social media where people kind of like put out their predictions, put out what they think is going on, their interpretations or whatever,
Mhm.
but then don't follow up with like how to work with that interpretation or how to work with that energy. And
Mhm.
that's important to me, at least with my work with astrology, is being able to make a prediction, but also give you some guidance on how to work with that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I feel like everything is kind of with Saturn and Aquarius right now. So getting into astrology, Saturn entered Aquarius for like a quick little bit in March, March to July in 2020. So that's really when the pandemic hit, kind of like globally.
Mhm.
Everything was shutting down. Everything was starting to be taken more seriously. Um, and that just all connects to the fact that Saturn is the planet of limitations, of restructuring, of reflecting, of kind of holding you down and limiting us so that we can think out of the box like an
Mhm.
Aquarius. So with Saturn and Capricorn, I feel like we had a lot of trying to figure out how we're going to sustain our economy, how we're going to sustain the government. With the Trump administration, so many things just kind of like went wacky.
Mhm.
And so with Saturn coming in Aquarius, now it's kind of picking up the pieces, figuring out how we're going to work with all of the things that just kind of like went. Saturn in Aquarius came and it up, like just fucked it up, just like completely got us out of control. But that was only for like a little bit. So
Mhm.
March and July of 2020, that was our little snippet of Saturn and Aquarius. It didn't officially go into full effect until December 18th of 2020. And
Mhm.
from here on out, it was Saturn and Aquarius full on. This is what we're doing. There's no going back.
Mhm.
Um, and that I think has really gotten people. That's where all the fear mongering, that's where all the nervous energy is that people are afraid of change. I feel like.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, there's definitely that element of, and I think that's what the message I want to get across to people too as well is it almost sounds like to me the messages online or the messages that content creators are making, like, be cautious, be warned. I hate to say this, but it almost is like sounding like some weird religious fear mongering, and I don't
Yeah,
I don't like that. And that's leading me into the point I wanted to make about, that Aquarian energy being, it's, if we look at it from breaking it down in a simple understanding, people say, oh, humanitarian community. However, we know that that everything has a potential to be an extreme version of what we're talking about. So,
yeah,
what's an extreme version of a community? A cult. A cult.
yeah,
And I think too, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the possibly Jupiter being an Aquarius as well is kind of just amplifying, almost like synergistically, what's going on. It's just amplifying it, because for
yeah,
me, Jupiter's about expansion. Okay, well, yeah, that's good if it's money, but if we're talking about delusions, if we're talking about fear, if we're talking about mass change, destabilization, or restructuring of society, that's scary. So, yeah, I feel like those two things are kind of just synergistically acting together, and it's just this whole recipe for disaster.
yeah. No, 100%. Jupiter has been a key like partner with Saturn and Aquarius. So they
Mm-hmm.
had like a grand conjunction on December 21st in 2020, and they have just been in the same time since, basically. And
Yeah.
Jupiter, like you said, is all about expansion, all about, making things bigger than they actually are. I
Mm-hmm.
think also remembering that Jupiter is a traditional rulership of Pisces, and
Yes.
understanding that getting lost in our fantasies, getting lost in disillusionment, getting lost in just like the dreaminess of like, oh my God, the world is changing. Like maybe we can have world peace. No, the world is changing, and now like shit is like less peaceful. Instead of
Yes.
just gone complete opposite. And Jupiter, yeah, just they're just blowing everything up, blowing it out of proportion, making it seem like completely impossible to deal with. All the
Mm-hmm.
corruptions going on in governments.
Mm-hmm.
Our own government has been like unsteady. It's wild.
Yes, and you really read my mind. That's an important point that I wanted to make as well, but I couldn't get the words out. So thanks for getting in my brain frequency.
But
That Jupiter, if we're looking at the traditional ruler, like you said, is Pisces, right? And Pisces can be about delusion and illusion. So it really upsets me when I see people using that as an excuse to say, well, this pandemic's not real. It's Pisces influence. It's an illusion. It's a delusion. But honey, like you got to stop and think about what you're saying. What if what you're saying is the delusion? Like you you can't just speak like that. It's just irresponsible. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up as well. So, moving forward though, what advice would you give for kind of dealing with this going forward in the future? When can we see a break with the transits? Maybe not necessarily a break, but like something different. Like when are we?
yeah,
It's like the channel's been on the same channel for 65 years, and I'm like, put the batteries in
yeah.
that thing and change it because I'm got to get something else going.
So I think when we will finally have some peace, finally be like at ease, and things will be when Jupiter goes back into Pisces. So Jupiter has been having this kind of back and forth this year where it went into Pisces earlier in the year and then went back into Aquarius when it went retrograde in June. And it's going to stay in Aquarius until the end of the year and go back into Pisces around October-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is when we'll finally feel a bit more at peace with what has happened. I feel like Aquarius being a fixed sign, it's
Mm-hmm.
very stubborn. It doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to deal with what's going on. And Aquarius, me being an Aquarius sun, we're there. We have that guard up, and we're not going to let that down until we know for sure we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get hurt. So I feel like that's not going to come in until Pisces comes. Jupiter and Pisces comes in to kind of like let the energy know that it's okay to change. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to lean into
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just be okay with the fact that change is happening. Change is inevitable. And I think another piece of advice for people who may be like a little bit scared or feel like this is impossible is that you just kind of have to go with it. Go with
Mm-hmm.
the flow, ride the waves. This pandemic completely uprooted our systems and how we believe things should be. So take advantage of that and like really go into what is going to be different for you
Mm-hmm.
moving forward.
And I think that that's just Aquarian as well. Just being able to embrace difference, being able to embrace what is unknown to you, and just kind of being able to learn how to blend in and integrate with that. So I think that's just what astrology is supposed to be used for. In my opinion, is not using it to control any event, not using it to control other people or use it for power. It's more so just the act of observing and being able to kind of help you relinquish a little bit of control and say, okay, this is outside of my hands to a degree. I'm still going to do what I need to do for myself and for my community and the people that I love and those that come to me that need help. But there is a certain degree of it I'm relinquishing back to the universe because I can't control it. Um,
Yeah, I agree. And I think that has all been like expanding and growing, especially when Jupiter goes back into Pisces,
mm-hmm,
because Pisces also rules like spirituality and like astrology and divination.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like Neptune and Pisces too has been adding on to all of this of like a
Yeah,
rise in
it's a
divination, a
double
rise in
whammy.
astrology and tarot, and everybody wants to learn about these things. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody's paying attention to the spiritualist now. I think it's very exciting. Very
Mm-hmm.
exciting, but it's also very kind of like, oh, like this is our thing. This is like, our cute little community. Now all of a sudden we have to open up to the world. And that can be very
Yeah.
scary, but.
Yeah, it is. I actually just saw somebody talking about this on the timeline. They were asking for people's opinions on, the occult or whatever you want to identify it as being more popular in pop culture, but this has happened throughout history.
Yeah.
There's been influxes of pop culture coming into this kind of space. It happens. Honestly, I kind of just laugh about it. Like, I just made a video not too long ago, and I was laughing. Do you remember, like, a year ago when Cardi B made an Instagram page and she was gonna, like, read you a free tarot card?
Yes, I remember.
And
She
it
was
was
gonna
like
offer
the
tarot
most
readings. Yeah.
random thing ever, but it was like promotion because she was about to put out some new work, and I was like, and everybody's like, oh my god, Cardi B is ruining the sanctity of the tarot, and I was like, just laugh about it and move on, guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna blow over. It's not worth like
Literally.
having a cow over. But the thing about it too is that's funny because that's exactly you're playing into what they're trying to get you to do. You're talking about it. So Cardi B's not dumb. Obviously, she knows what she's doing there.
She knows
But
exactly what she's doing. Being a
exactly.
Libra sun too, like she knows. She's meticulous. She knows what
Mm-hmm.
she's doing. I love
But
her.
yeah, so moving forward though, and moving on to the subject of, America's Pluto return, what do you think we can see with that? Because a lot of people are very scared and say, oh my God, like there's going to be like World War III, like all these really scary things are going to happen. But before, we go forward with that, I just want to remind everybody, um, back when the inauguration happened, everybody was super worried. And I remember a lot of people on the timeline making predictions about like assassinations and like people were literally like trying to make predictions on people like are they gonna be killed, and I was like, I don't like that. And thank God it did there that didn't happen. And that's just one thing that I wish people would be kind of cautious of too is making those big scary predictions, especially with somebody's life like that. Like, I understand that maybe that person's a celebrity or a public figure, but to me I feel like that's still a human being. I don't feel that it's my place to make calls or predictions of the death over their head. So I don't like that at all. I really wasn't happy when that happened. So, but that's just a reminder of how hysterical things can get with big, scary predictions like that, and why we need to be careful with what we're saying. And
Yeah.
let's take a more balanced approach to what could possibly happen. And then we'll talk about, like, how to kind of prepare for that, for the average person. So go ahead.
But yeah, I think with Pluto return happening at such a like iconic time in our history is really just adding to another like adding to the validity of astrology, like how
Mm-hmm.
accurate it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, Pluto returns are only happen every 250 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they are historically connected to time to the collapses of empires.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually, I think that's where a lot of the fear mongering and like all the anxiety comes in is the fact that this really major transit is always connected to the collapse of such
Mm-hmm.
big economies, such big countries, such big government systems. Um, but I think we need to kind of see it more as a karmic transformation. I feel like it's more of this country dealing with a lot of the karma
Mm-hmm.
that it had to go through. So with the genocide of indigenous tribes,
Mm-hmm.
slavery of blacks, and like all the bullshit that has happened in this country, I think is just coming up again.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can do it better this time. Oh
He's
my God!
here.
Hi, little boy.
Hi, get out of here.
that was a beautiful surprise.
This is my little Aries. She's just really saucy. Okay, stop it. Okay, I'm
Cute.
sorry.
You're good. That was a beautiful surprise.
That's
I
gonna
have
be a
two
good
cats,
one.
so I love them.
Yay.
Um, but yeah, so this country is dealing with a lot of its karma, um, and I feel like karma is a really big theme when it comes to this Pluto return because of all the negative things that have happened in our country and all of the things that are coming up
Mm-hmm.
recently. And so people are just kind of like fed up. I feel like this is a time to revolutionize, to like
Mm-hmm.
unionize, to get together and make it a country of the people rather than a country of the government, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
way it's supposed to be. And I think we can think positively in the fact that like as long as you're doing your work with building community, building, you know, peaceful connections and like educating others on what's going on, I think that you'll be fine
Mm-hmm.
during this photo return. It won't be impacting people much personally, I feel.
Yeah, right, right. And I think that's important too, is I think a lot of time people get very scared about transits. And, I'm not saying this to be like facetious, but if you're doing things in your life, altruistically or just trying to do your best, you don't need to fear, I mean, like be cautious, but don't fear transits. Like that's how I feel about it. Like I don't fear transit. I see it and I'm just like whatever. Like if the car catches on fire that day, like I'm gonna be I'm gonna be right in it, experiencing it. It's not anything again to be afraid of. There's a part of relinquishing control there, and it's funny too because I brought up like about the religious kind of fear mongering is what this like brings up to me. And it's interesting because I also saw somebody talking the other day about how this is almost like a prophesized end of times that like extreme like Christian ideologies have, or groups have been
Yeah,
clinging to for a while. Like this is the end times, and it's like, well, kind of for you it is the end times because people are tired of these systems that are rooted in racism, in classism, in, all of these things. And I think people are just now starting to realize everything that we have and everything that we do is connected to those racist, classist, bases. And I don't think any of us realized that until recently. That's what's dying is our ideology. I think the idea of being an American is going to die. Like that American dream theory is dead. That's what's
yeah,
dying.
100%.
The
Because this
American dream is
country,
going to die. That's what's gonna die. Okay.
there is no American dream. It's an American illusion. That's what it is.
It is in a sense, but I think that's also kind of nice because it's gonna there's a chance to rewrite what it is. What is the American dream? It's not, coming here just to be put down by oppressive systems. It's not, it's not putting each other down and trying to hold on to, for each our own. Even though that is what human beings came here and tried to make our country about, because people did come here and they did kill off indigenous peoples. They did steal land. And you can't have a beginning like that and not have a reckoning come back around
Exactly, yeah.
and say, okay, this is wrong. You built the foundation of this country completely incorrectly, and since you have done it incorrectly, Pluto is here to demolish you.
Literally.
So
And
if it's
also,
meant to fall, it's meant to fall. Let Pluto take it out.
yes, Pluto is the planet of destruction. So literally destroying what we thought once was. And also during the Pluto return, there's going to be a Venus and Mars conjunction in Capricorn.
Mm.
So there's just going to be a rise for justice, a rise of like nationalism and like taking back what being American is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like with recent events in the past couple of years, being American or like what America stands for
Mm-hmm.
is like nobody even knows anymore. I feel like there's
Exactly.
like, so much negativity tied to being American
Mm-hmm.
when it used to be such a positive thing that people are just like, what, like just like don't know what to do, don't know what's going on, doesn't know
Yeah.
like should I be proud of this country, should I not? And I think with the Pluto return and that Venus Mars conjunction, it's just going to kind of propel us forward into this new America, into this
Mm-hmm.
new country,
Mm-hmm.
into this new way of being. Because this pandemic has highlighted a lot of flaws in our government that I feel like now with Saturn and Aquarius, we're able to finally get in there and fix the cracks that we didn't get to fix when Saturn was in Capricorn.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just talking.
Right, and I hope that, with the Pluto return, the illusion that dies, with the American dream is, I think the problem is, and has been the problem of America, and this happens in other countries too, but since our inception, we have been so played by the government, and the entire time it's been, no, it's not me, it's the poor guy next to you, he's stealing from you. If I didn't have, as the government, if I didn't have to give your neighbor help, then I could give you more. Blame your neighbor. And that has been how the government has had its hold on America, I think, for so long, is just pounding into their head. And people really, truly, genuinely believe, like, America's the best country in the world. Like, we are number one. Go, America. And I'm like, no, like, and I think that's the illusion that needs to die for us to even be able to work together with people that do feel like this strong sense of nationalism. I mean, there's some people that unfortunately there's just going to be no working with, but that's a story for another day. We're trying to be hopeful here. But it's funny because we've been calling for so many of these systems to be abolished for so long, and it's like Pluto's like, hi, I'm here.
I'm here to help you. I'm here to
Hi.
finally demolish that.
You ask and you shall receive. Pluto's coming
Be
to.
careful what you wish for,
It,
honey.
oh my gosh, stop. I just did like a mini reading today, and I wrote that exact message out for like my mini daily reading, I swear.
Oh my God. Literally,
It's
Pluto is here to say be careful what you wish for.
exactly, exactly. So hopefully, if we can kill that illusion of what America is supposed to be, that might be the middle ground that we need to come together and say, okay, it's really just us as human beings. Like, the government is not here for us. We're all out here alone together.
Yeah.
So instead of fighting one another, we have to turn to one another. And again, a lot of people are saying, well, I don't have like a community support, or I don't have money. Like, I don't know how I can give back to my community. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So, like, I've been trying to put out some content. Like, I just wrote something the other day, like, how to have a sustainable kitchen. Like, I think people are concerned too about, like, resources and housing and, those sorts of things. So, I've been trying to come up with, information and to support people in that way. Is there anything, that you can see, like you said, the Venus and Mars conjunction in Capricorn is going to
Yeah.
be at that time as well? Is there any other placements, or transits that we can look forward to that can give us some hope that we're going to be able to communicate with one another, or rebuild in some new way, for better or worse?
Yeah. I think a lot of what we talk about when it comes to like sustainability and like housing crises, I think that is connecting a lot with the Uranus and Taurus transit.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus being the planet of sudden change, of upheavals, of just like literally fucking shit up. Uranus has been squaring Saturn in Aquarius basically this whole year and a little into past 2020. So they're a father-son combo in mythology, and Uranus doesn't like Saturn at all. Thinks Saturn's is here to overthrow, and that is what Saturn in Aquarius is doing, overthrowing all the systems that Uranus had put in place. And Uranus being in Taurus is highlighting that sustainability, finding out what's going to help us continue the longevity, what's going to help us get past like the climate crisis. I know Jade had posted an Instagram story talking about this timeline of like we have 6 years to fix the climate change before it's irreversible, and that is connected to the Uranus and Taurus
Oh,
transit.
wow.
Um,
I didn't know
so
that.
us, like we literally as a world, but also as a country and personally, we need to figure out how we're going to be able to create a more sustainable lifestyle. Because right
Mhm.
now our lifestyles are not sustainable. There
Mm-mm.
is pollution and oils and oil spills and like just a bunch of wildfires, earthquakes. Like it's just like the planet Earth, Mother Earth is mad, and Mother
Mhm.
Earth is here to say like I'm gonna take my planet back.
Mhm.
And so I feel like us as human beings on this earth need to figure out how to work with Mother Earth again. I feel like going back to kind of like our indigenous ways of like how we just used to take care of the earth, take care of our environment.
Mhm.
Um, there's another astrologer, the People's Oracle. She's a sidereal astrologer.
Mhm.
And she talked a lot about how our community as a whole, our generation, this lifetime is about figuring out how to get rid of the survival instinct and all this
Mm.
idea that we're all in this alone, that we're here to survive only, and getting more into community connections, um, building those communities so that we can, it takes a village to raise children. It takes a village
Yeah.
to keep to keep the systems going. And I feel like we as a country have very individualized our experiences, and now we're just kind of like all in it. Everybody's just kind of like in tunnel vision, worried about themselves, when we really need to start widening up and thinking about bigger picture, how we can work together. And I
Mhm.
think Uranus and Taurus is really helping us out. And I think that is for the next 6, 7 years, Uranus and Taurus is going to be telling us to just
Yeah.
get our shit together and like figure out how to get our world to not die,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And that makes sense because if you think about it, if you believe that our genes, that our DNA carries trauma in it, um, I just said this to my spouse the other day, us right now, like, we're still dealing with the fallout of, like, our great grandparents, what they went through, the world wars, just the Great Depression, if they were in America, or, plenty of other events throughout the world. And even though we do have our struggles now, they're very different than how things used to be. And our grandparents didn't have any tools whatsoever for support. I mean, it was hit the bottle or that's it. Like, you didn't go to counseling, you didn't go to therapy, you didn't talk to your friends, like whatever. And as terrible as that is, but I think we are still dealing with that, carrying that trauma from lifetimes ago. So I think, what they said about that makes a lot of sense. And I think too, what people need to realize is you don't have to like sell your house and like live in a tent in the woods to be protecting the earth. I think that, the universe source is aware that we have technology in our lives. We created this technology. Therefore, by extension of our human hand, I believe it is just as divine as we are. So I think we need to just learn how to coincide with technology. Not We don't need to completely eradicate it. And I think that's what scares so many people and makes people push back against change is extreme viewpoints. And like I told you before, like the truth and the middle ground is like not headlines. That's not sexy. Like people don't want to buy a newspaper that's like
The
live.
world is ending.
Yeah, like if you're looking at a newspaper and one says the world is ending and the other one says the world isn't ending and like here's 10 small things you could do and proof that it's not. Which one are you going to buy, obviously? So, um I think just learning to live with less. I'm not rich, but I'm privileged. I am. So what that means is, I don't buy more than I need. And it sounds ridiculous, but think about how much food as Americans we waste.
Yeah,
We buy
consumption.
very excessively. We drive very large vehicles that suck up gas. We freaking love like air conditioning over here.
I
And
love my air conditioner is on all day. It's horrible.
that's like such an American thing. Like other parts of the world are not blasting their air conditioner like at 68. It just doesn't happen. So And to give people a little bit of hope for that too, this is funny because I also just shared the story the other day on Nova. I live like in the middle of Bodunk nowhere. Like people drive like diesel gas sucking trucks around here like it's a sport, like it's
Oh my
cool, you know.
God.
So and I almost keeled over when I saw in the last few weeks. I've seen like 3 people driving a Vespa scooter. And I thought that was so interesting because I know, Uranus and Taurus could possibly be influencing our transportation and going back to that more sustainable lifestyle. So, okay, that's a good middle ground. It's a smaller vehicle, less gas consumption, less upkeep, not having to process and manufacture parts and the pollution of processing those parts and so on and so forth. And I was just blown away. I thought, oh my god, nobody around here is ever gonna change how they live. Like the hillbillies around here are gonna nuke, and I'm going down with them. Like if the rapture comes, I'm going. They're
You're done.
like they're gonna drag me to hell probably is what's gonna happen. So
God.
I just thought that was so cool and gave me like this little glimpse of hope, like okay, maybe even out here in the hills people can get with a middle ground, more sustainable, moderate lifestyle. And I think that is too where we're going with Saturn and Aquarius is I think we're going to see a lot of more like communal living. I think we're going to see multi-generational homes be more popular just because of, cost of living. And also, like you said, it takes a village to raise a child. So you have, grandparents or aunts and uncles or family, friends, whoever you deem your support system, you're all sharing those resources in that same unit together. That's sharing childcare, sharing food costs, taking up less physical space for housing, so on and so forth. So I think that there is a lot to hope for in the future. It's just so scary right now. And I look at my son and I think, you know what? They aren't going to know life any differently. These kids that are being born now, and especially like we said, these Pluto and Aqua kids that are coming, they are gonna be so ahead of their time. They are gonna be so adapted to this changing world that it really gives me hope. And I think what we need to recognize as well too is, that old philosophy. I think it's a Greek saying that old men who plant trees of shade they'll never sit in helps a society grow great. I think that's where we're at right now. Even with everything is keeping in mind that we can't just say okay the world's over because honestly, in my opinion, even if human beings go anywhere, the world ain't going anywhere.
Well,
The
the
world's
world will just,
okay, honey. Like it'll nuke us
yeah,
if it has to. I am worried. Like the Earth is okay. It's not going anywhere.
there was actually, I remember reading articles that there was like rainforests that were like seeing habitation again, rivers were
Yeah.
clear again when they started to lock down everything and like there wasn't any human interaction going on
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
pandemic lockdown.
Mhm.
So yeah, the world is going to be perfectly fine without us. And I think we need to remind ourselves of that
Mhm.
and also remind ourselves that like our generation aren't the only people that are going to have to deal with this earth. Like, we have to
Mhm.
think about the future. We need to think about what's going to come
Mhm.
afterwards. Um, but I feel like our society has just kind of been focused on the now or the past and making sure the past doesn't repeat itself and all that good stuff. But it's a bit inevitable when you think of it. Like astrology
Yeah.
is constantly repeating itself. Life is constantly, art imitating life and vice versa. So I think, like you said, just figuring out what we can do individually to help
Mhm.
the earth, to help each other, getting back to like the community aspect of everything, multi-generational houses. I feel like that's
Mhm.
going to help a lot. And Uranus and Taurus, again, that is like the star when it comes to all that good stuff. They're
Mhm.
just here to rattle things up and make it just that much different so that you can think of the idea that'll help you in the
Mhm.
future.
Yeah, but it's like that tough love because it's Taurus. So
Yeah,
it's firm and it's tough, but it's deep, it's ethereal, and it's almost boundless. So I really like that thought process of it. And for me, I kind of embrace the looking forward to the death of this ideology of what America's supposed to be, because I want to reach across the aisle and, speak to people who are very deeply rooted in, these harmful conspiracies and that sort of thing. Because I think if a lot of them could kind of, see that each other is not the enemy, it's those division tactics that, the media, the 24-hour news cycle is using, the government uses to, to a degree, distract us. Now, I don't think the government, like, everything is a conspiracy, but I know that the government does use opportunistic things to say, oh, look, that happened. Let's cover that real quick and then distract everybody. So we can kind of.
propaganda. It's all just propaganda. Just like
Yeah.
making
And
it seem extreme.
like, and what's crazy to me is, remember earlier this year when the United States like released from Freedom of Information Act information about UFOs, and like the world is so crazy right now. Everybody was just like, I don't give a shit. Like UFOs, I see those every Tuesday.
Like, okay, cool. We already knew that. Like, thanks for, like, tell me something I don't know.
But could you imagine if that was released like 5 or 10 years
Years ago.
ago? Like, oh my gosh, the Area 51 raid probably would have been a lot bigger. Do you remember that?
It would have actually happened, probably. Oh my god, I forgot about that raid. They
Oh,
tried so hard to
they
make it
did. I
epic.
give them a lot of credit. Shout out to whoever, put that together and
If you
actually
showed up,
showed up.
how about you?
Yeah, that was dedication. They were really dedicated. They were like Naruto running
I'm gonna
across
take an
the fields
alien.
and
Yep.
dancing, and yeah, it was really good. So, but yeah, I just think that, you know, two, just as a last note, the point I want to make for us as creators, as people who are studying astrology or any form of divination, any spirituality, any ideology, wherever you come from, wherever you hail, if you do have knowledge or a kind word to share, don't stop doing that, because when this stage collapses underneath America, when this Pluto return does come, I think a lot of people are going to be so lost, especially the people that are in the conspiracy pool right now, because, once that curtain falls on that information,
Except
there's
mine.
nothing
Yeah.
else for them to cling to. So, we're kind of going to be standing all around here having to kind of welcome these people back, like, and they're our friends and family. These aren't just people that are, crazy on the TV screaming about conspiracies. I know that everybody in my life, online and offline, knows at least one friend or family member who they have probably cut off or argued with over the last several years due to political or health information disagreements.
Sure. And I think it's just gonna kind of increase and get more and more when we like have Pluto and Aquarius come in.
Yes,
Because
I was going to do that next. Thank you.
when Pluto and Aquarius comes in, the chart has a ton of 12th house placements. So it has the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron all in
Oh.
12th house. So literally, having when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we're just gonna have a ton of conspiracy theories, a bunch of like hidden like tabloids and like a bunch of like propaganda. I feel like there's
Mhm.
gonna be a lot of propaganda that's gonna try to like kind of blind us at the surface level so
Yeah.
that people don't go deep in and actually uncover the truth that
Mhm.
are lying there. I feel like our government's gonna be releasing a lot of information that's gonna throw us off
Mhm.
when we're really supposed to be focusing on something else.
That is a
That's gonna be
really,
very
really good interpretation, and I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna flip it and give it a little bit of a different spin. How I'm seeing it when I think of that in those placements in the 12th house, and going forward in the future with Pluto and Aquarius, I see it as the information's gonna go more underground.
mm,
These folks, like I said, that are in these very in these mindsets, very controlled by these conspiracy thinkings. Whenever their support falls out, they're kind of like a wounded dog in a corner, so to speak. You know, they get wild. They're like very defensive. They have,
Don't know what to do.
yeah, they don't know what to do. And I think that we're going to be able to eradicate a large portion of possibly like the misinformation that freely circulates public spaces, like Facebook. Like actually just the other day I was on Reddit, and Reddit is a pretty big cesspool for some things that we won't talk about.
Yeah.
And all of the forums on there right now, like hundreds of them, are kind of going on like a strike, and they're demanding that the admins do something about the misinformation that's on there. Apparently there's a forum for ivermectin, and people are going on there to talk about the animal dewormer and how to take it for COVID and all these other really scary things.
Oh
So
my God.
yeah, so I just think people are sick of it. They're demanding the misinformation be dealt with, and that's a good thing. So I think on the surface level we are going to see a lot of that go away, and we're going to be able to meet in the middle. However, with those placements there being in the 12th house and all this Aquarian energy, it just screams cult to me. So we're going to get rid of, like on a mass level, we're going to get rid of misinformation freely circulating public spaces, but it's going to dig deeper underground, like a small extreme minority of people. And it's going to be kind of harder to track them. But I don't want people to freak out about that, because that's just a natural reaction of, you know, chasing crime or the law. There's a black market for everything, and that's not a reason to not make something illegal, like misinformation. There's always going to be a black market for something that comes out from that, and I think that it's going to be misinformation. And with Pluto and Aqua, technology is getting smarter. I don't know if you noticed this, but I see a lot of people on the internet that are arguing with what I think are bots.
I've seen like the theory. I haven't like seen it myself where I feel like this person's a bot or whatever, but I've seen that apparently bots and like fake accounts are coming up like on a rise. Like there's a lot of accounts that are just not actual people. It's so weird.
Yeah, so I mean, some of it's just people making fake accounts wanting to get like 7,200 free tarot card pulls, but um I didn't say that out loud. So, but yeah, if you look at a lot of the accounts and like how they're speaking, if you've been on the internet for a long time, or like you just look at cybersecurity literature for fun, because I'm a weirdo, uh, they're they're just at the point now where you can kind of still tell they're a robot or a bot, but they're getting so damn smart that I think that's where we're headed, is like having to be careful with AI and deep fakes and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And also, you know, you brought up Jade as well. Jade has also pointed out with degree theory that um, whenever we do have Pluto in Aquarius, I believe, like when it transitions to that sign, it's going to be at a Leo degree, and Leo is connected to children. So we have to be careful with children's safety on the internet. And if you think about it, like the people that are our age and how we grew up, like at the dawn of the internet, like it was like the Wild West. Like we're just on MySpace, like putting your favorite playlist on there, put your whole address, like text
Coding,
me, hey.
learning how to code and iron and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh my
how do I
God.
code my glitter texts for my top 4? Shannon's calling me because I just put Teresa on the top 8 and not her. Those were like the best days of our life, and we didn't even know it.
Oh my God. It really
Um,
was.
but yeah, it's like the Wild West, really, and for so long, like people have just been getting online and posting whatever and doing whatever, and I just see a lot more regulation needing to come down on public spaces like Facebook and Twitter. I know at the beginning of the year, Mark Zuckerberg had like a class action lawsuit against him by a bunch of attorney generals in the United States. They wanted to break up Facebook and Instagram because of it being a monopoly and other, problems. But I don't know whatever came of that. But we're already seeing the beginning of those, events of people demanding more accountability online. And I just think that also solidifies the theory that like technology isn't going anywhere. We just need to learn how to live in harmony with it and
Yeah.
the earth. It's not going anywhere. Let's integrate it. Let's make it work together. And the last thing I'll say about that though is not only do we need to take our personal accountability with Uranus and Taurus, but continue with Saturn in Aquarius and Pluto going to be in Aquarius soon. Don't leave the pressure off these big corporations, for us as individuals, because a lot of our pollution and a lot of our, issues with that is big companies. So like even if me and you and all our friends and family start doing small things like recycling and using less water. I mean, that's fantastic, and we all do need to do those things, but we still need to put pressure on these big companies to take accountability for the carbon output and, just everything, all those things that go together. So that's my spiel.
Yeah, no, yeah. You touched on so many things that I like written down. So give me a moment.
Sorry, I
No, you're
just I
good.
just start talking and it's like I said, like I just give it to spirit, man. Like it just dumps out of me. I'm too tired, so
Same. No,
I'm
I'm the same.
I'm like Jesus, take the wheel.
But yeah, so let's see. So what Jade had talked about was that since Pluto is going to be entering Aquarius, it's going to be opposing Leo, and so that's where that connection, where like danger, internet danger to like children, or like um, just keeping track of what your kids are doing online.
Mhm.
That's where that's coming up.
Mhm.
And I agree. I feel like with Pluto and Aquarius, there's going to be a lot of power given to technology. And there's going to
Mhm.
be a lot of power given to technology. Companies, so like Mark Zuckerberg or like Jeff Bezos, and
Mhm.
we're already seeing that happening where they're building their wealth and building this rulership, basically, like this leadership, this kind of dictatorship within the technology
Mhm.
and social media and all this stuff. And we just need to be a bit cautious with it, kind of go back to like when all this was still coming up and we're like, oh no, like you can't go meet a stranger on the internet.
Yeah.
And now we have Uber where we're
Yeah.
literally calling strangers to come pick us up.
Yeah.
But I think we just have to be just more cautious because it's going to get more powerful. It's going to get more
Mhm.
intense. And I put iRobot energy, so like the movie iRobot. I feel like um, Elon Musk is apparently releasing like a human bot. So like literally, like we're gonna be seeing technology in such
Mhm.
a mind-blowing way. Like we're not gonna be able to process what's going on with technology. So we need to
Mhm.
figure out what needs to stay the same, what needs to change, what's gonna help us later on, what's gonna hinder us.
Mhm.
Um, and I think also that hidden energy with the 12th house placements, all of that, like you were saying before, where like things are just going to be deeper and like harder to find. I think that
Mhm.
also adds to all the Pisces energy that's going to be happening. So we have
Mhm.
Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter is going back into Pisces, and then Saturn will be going into Pisces when Pluto goes into Aquarius. So
Mhm.
literally, it's just that triple emphasis of things just not being what they seem. Like you can't
Yeah.
believe what you see.
Mhm.
You can't go too extreme with anything because
Mhm.
it's just not, you might not have all the information.
Mhm.
Um, and I think to not be so anxious or to be so scared of all of that coming up is to just fact check your shit before you share something. Figure out if it's right or not. Like it's not hard to Google search.
Mhm.
Google is our best friend,
Yes, learn.
people.
Yes, yes. We are in an age of information, but we don't know how to use it.
Yes, 100%. It's at our fingertips, and yet people are still so ignorant on so many topics,
Mhm.
and that's only going to be our downfall when Pluto goes into Aquarius. Because Aquarius is, again, the genius sign. It's the sign that's thinking out of the box,
Yeah.
using what it already has
Mhm.
to elevate it. So if you don't
Mhm.
even have that foundation yet with all of this going on, you're going to be kind of all over the place when the time does come. So I think
Yeah.
just getting your mind in check, making sure that you're fact checking, that you're Googling, that you're getting the education that you need on top of it, I
Mhm.
think is going to help a lot of people for when all this happens and people think that there's secret cults happening and all. Like, I don't know if I should trust this person because they might not be having the best intention. Like, if you know your shit, you're going to know, you're going to
Mhm.
be able to discern what's
Mhm.
legit and what's kind of a con scam.
Yeah, and I think that means to like talk to your grandma about internet safety because listen,
Yeah,
my grandma is wild. She just gets on Amazon and buys whatever. Like, and I'm like, "Grandma, you don't know like who these people are. Like you have to be careful." Like she thinks Amazon is like a place. You know, like she thinks
it's not like
Amazon is like a
going
plate.
on.
Like she doesn't understand. It's just the warehouse where things are getting shipped through. She thinks it's a
Yeah,
place, so it's safe to buy from Amazon. She doesn't understand that those are private buyers using a third party entity, and I have to explain that to her. And I know we all make the jokes about the boomers, but listen, they know not what they do.
yeah,
They are
yeah.
dangerous on the internet, and we need to kind of treat them like children when they're using the internet. So like, no
100%.
joke, check your grandma and grandpa's internet safety and literacy level, because Pluto and Aquarius is coming. So if they've been scammed on the internet before, and if you don't
The
have that, like,
scammer.
yeah, don't be scared, but just have an awareness of it, because if you don't, you know, 12th house is house of hidden enemies. So with that being, that information being pushed underground, it's going to be very deceitful. But the thing about it too is, I think, again, with the 12th house is all about just surrendering to a degree. And I think that the future is going to be, as always, what you make of it. So with these new structures, are you going to be able to adapt your mind to it and be open to new ways of living? Are you going to see this change as a surrender, as a dream, an ability to build something new with that 12th house energy, or are you going to see it as a prison?
And there's going to be people on both sides
Yeah.
all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's just going to emphasize the divide a bit
Mm-hmm.
for like a hot second. It's going to really emphasize the people who want to educate, who want to help, and then the people who just want to stay ignorant. You know, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
They want to stay in their way of
Yes,
thinking.
that's another 12th house thing for me, I think, is ignorance is bliss. And some
Yes,
people, that energy, I think some people choose, or they just don't know how to handle change, and it's safer for them to hold on to what they know. I mean, we know that from a basic psychological standpoint, that what we know feels safe. So, but yeah, the overall idea is that things happen in cycles. There's not going to be, this isn't like 2012, like you remember December 2012, like the Mayan
or
calendar ended.
Y2K, like this will
Oh
be.
my god, Y2K, man. People were having like parties, and you know what's so funny is people were selling like videotapes for like hundreds of dollars. You could buy how to prep for Y2K.
Stop. No.
Yeah, you can Google it. Yeah, you can Google it. I remember it being a thing, and then like I found it on the internet. Yeah, doomsday prepper. So it doesn't
That's
matter
gonna.
what
Yep.
happens. There's always going to be people that are using catastrophe to their advantage. Unfortunately, that's going to happen. But I just hope that, with maybe more people collaborating and making content in the style that we're doing, opening dialogue, like I said, making it look cool to talk to each other, teach, not
Yeah.
preach.
Yeah. We
um,
need more of that. We just need more conversations and more open conversations. I feel like
mhm,
people are with cancel culture and like the idea that if you say or do something wrong, like it's over. Like we need to not
mhm,
do that. Mistakes are okay. Everybody's learning. Everybody's evolving,
mhm.
and we need to be able to have those open conversations in order to learn from our mistakes. In order to move forward.
Right, right. And the last point that I think I want to make too going forward is just, obviously right now the elephant in the room is, COVID and vaccine information, and everybody's very scared right now, and it's hard even for me to be, sympathetic, because I do come from, a science background, a healthcare background, where I'm like, I want to scream like, why don't you want to believe this information? But I have to step outside myself and I have to say, okay, people are afraid. And the last thing I want to say is, no matter where you stand on what side of the aisle with that, please just take the common courtesy to cover your face. I mean, your body
Yes,
belongs to
please.
you. If you really, 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 really are truly against it, you're that afraid to get the vaccine, if you are really just waiting, or if you're scared or you don't believe in it, please, for the love of God, the least you can do is just cover your face, please, and be respectful of other people.
And if you can't do that, then stay home, please.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need we
exactly.
need this thing to end. We need this pandemic to end. We need COVID to end.
Yes,
And we need cooperation.
that's my final note, but that is going to be the ending of, I
Yeah.
think, to the American ideology of what America is the line between personal responsibility and caring for one another, like personal freedoms and caring for your community. I hope that's where those lines and those illusions kind of die with Pluto. I hope those things run
Exactly.
together, and that we look at each other from the lens of you are me and I am you, and not that you're interfering with my freedom by, doing whatever. So, but yeah, that's everything I think I have to cover there. But I want to ask you, because I've just been running my mouth so much, what else you have to share? Any closing points, advice, anything you want to talk about?
I think we covered everything. I think just again, like we said, like at the final, just be okay with, or like not be okay. Just like learn to connect with your community.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to not be so centered on like how things are affecting you. See the bigger picture. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that Pluto and Aquarius will help everybody get into that humanitarian mindset of where
Yeah.
High School Musical. We're all in this together. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
got to get our heads in the game. So
Right, right.
that's
And
really it. Yeah.
that's just what we need to remember, is that we all, like I said, we are all out here alone, but alone together.
Alone together. Yes.
Yeah. So, uh, let me think here. I don't think there's anything. Oh, one bonus point I wanted to add, I almost forgot. If you're a business owner and you have an online presence with Pluto and Aqua, please invest in a VPN. Or if you have any documents on your computer
No.
that's like
Yes.
super important, please purchase a VPN that you trust, and you can write that off as a business expense as well. So if you are a business, save those receipts and write everything off. But that is an extra tip I was thinking of for Pluto and Aqua. But that's everything that I have, and you're closed up. So, as a fun thing to do, we came up with this idea as a joke when I asked Kenny to have a Yu-Gi-Oh duel with me with tarot cards to make some predictions for, what's to come in, America's Pluto return, or just some guidance for the future. It'll be interesting to see if what we get.
I love the same card.
That'd be so funny. It's interesting too, because I did a reading for this year at the beginning of the year, so I want to see too how much it reflects my personal reading for the year.
Ooh, what deck are you using? I have the modern tarot deck. Our
Ooh.
modern witch tarot.
Everybody loves that deck. So I have this deck. I use as an oracle deck. I don't know if you can see with my background. It's called the Dreaming in
Oh,
Color Lumon deck.
that's cute.
It's kind of cool the way it's going in and out of there like that. But it is like a 3D art deck. It's not actually an oracle deck. The artist said online it was used for like art therapy, but you can use it as an oracle. But yeah, it's Dreaming in Color, and then the tarot deck I'm using is the Star Spinner.
Okay,
Can't.
I gotta go.
My stupid background. That's okay. But yeah, everybody just loves the Modern Witch. Like, a lot of people resonate with that.
It's just so, it's literally modern. Like,
It
you
is.
have people
It's
with
literally the Modern
laptops
Witch.
and like cars and like some badass outfits. It's so, oops, okay. I got two cards. Oops, three. Oh, four. Okay. I have a little spread out here for the collection.
Ooh, okay. If you have your cards, feel free to go first.
So, first cards that came out, we got the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. So I think for the collective, just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. I think King of Pentacles is big Uranus and Taurus energy, so just like keeping the sustainability, making sure that you're okay and that you can help others, kind of like putting the mask on yourself before you help anybody else on the plane.
Yeah.
But just keep going. And then Ace of Swords, and again, Eight of Cups. So 2 8s in this one.
I
So a lot of
love the number
profound
8.
change.
Love the number 8 in numerology.
Yes, a lot of profound change, a lot of just epiphanies. I feel like a lot of epiphanies, a lot of, the Ace of Swords is all about ideas, mental stimulation. So just like, literally keep going, keep moving, don't look back. Just, the change is inevitable. Lean into it. If you have an idea that's going to make you money, hop on that shit right now.
Right now, like yesterday.
Yeah, literally, like yesterday. And like, yeah, collectively, everybody needs to keep going, keep doing their thing.
Yeah, I like how you got the Eight of Wands, because for me, that's like that quick change, that quick progress. So it's like, hey, shit's gonna fall out, so you better hold on to your seat, because you're gonna get left behind if you don't.
And this is why I like the Modern Witch, at least for this card in particular, because it has the clouds and the motorcycle, so it kind of like shows that it's movement, that it's rapid movement, that it's fast.
Yeah, I do like that about that deck. The imagery on that deck is very nice. I do appreciate it a lot.
Ooh, at the bottom of the deck, Eight of Swords, another 8. Rip that
888,
blindfold off, people.
888, lots of money. We're all getting rich in 2022, 2023.
I love it. We're all going to be in our coin. Eat the rich.
Oh, I just got, eat the rich. I just got the Knight of Coins. Yes, eat them. So I actually have, my Oracle cards look very promising. We have joy, catharsis, exploration, happiness. And I have here for the actual tarot cards, the Four of Wands, which is all about solid foundations. So again, I've been saying over and over again, us as content creators or, students of the tarot, of the stars, we're laying foundations for like the ideology, I think, of the future. I think more people are turning inward. They're turning to, and I have fortitude or strength here. More people are turning into themselves. And I think this is nice. I like this card. It has a lion in the Star Spinner, this lion with my little chica here, because that's like the Leo energy to me. And we just had I believe the full moon in Aquarius was at 29 degrees. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so big Leo influence. I think
longevity
just yeah, it's sustaining the self, and also, but also like your close family and friends, your pack, so to speak. And also, too, Knight in Coins is funny because we know that Uranus is all about change, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So I think that people's focus about what is valuable to them is going to ultimately be what drives, the change for the collective is what is it that we value? Where are we planting like our seeds of time and interest? Where's our energy going? That's going to be, more important to people. And I have 8 of coins in reverse, and 8 of coins up.
Another 8.
Yeah, 8. Ah, oh my God, yes, you're right. I wasn't even thinking because I was just blurting out. 8 of coins in reverse. 8 of coins upright is like, you learn developing a skill on your own, whereas
Yeah.
in the reverse position for me, that's again group, that's community, that's not just developing something for yourself, but the way forward is, keeping everybody else in mind whenever you're doing something like this project that we're doing. When I'm making a video, I'm thinking, okay, if I really want to serve my community of, astrology learners and tarot learners and those who are interested in their spirituality and the connectivity with the universe, I have to bring somebody else in. I can't just stand up here on my soapbox and preach. So that's just a small way, I think, that of what I'm talking about, the way forward is just thinking of one another in everything that we do, and how can we share what we know, and just whatever, how can we give back to each other? Because my thought process is, whenever I rise, you rise as well. I see the world as this just big puddle of water, and when we're filling water into that puddle, if we're all boats, you're coming up with me. There's no reason for me to shoot you down, because where's that going to get me?
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
And I think with 8 of Pentacles reversed, I feel like also not staying focused on one thing, or not staying focused on like the thing that's going to help you and the person next to you. Like really trying to kind of like gain the jack of all trades, and like see what you can do everywhere that'll help, and like kind of like set that spark
yeah,
for everyone.
yeah, not feeling like you have to be doomed to one thing your whole life. And I think that's something, like we were talking about, our older generations have that sense of like duty to things, like working at the same job for 50 years, or they have to raise a family because that's what's expected of them. Like many of our relatives, our ancestors had life sentences handed to them that they never asked for of things that they're doing, and so we have this opportunity to kind of say, "Hey, I want to live my life the way that it feels good, and not necessarily what I'm being told to do." And I think another important thing too, I have King of Coins in reverse. So that's the redistribution of wealth to me, that drop of celebrity status. We're already seeing so many celebs like online and on TV just kind of falling out of grace, so to speak. Like a lot of
Yeah.
influencers stepping away from that lifestyle. I just saw Khalees, like she's on Twitter talking about her farm, and she like harvests like crops with her family, and I'm like, that's a
Okay.
wonderful life, like
Oh,
you
like
know.
I will.
But I just think, yeah, like that destruction of the celebrity icon status that people are talking about that's coming. I think that's a confirmation of that, and just a redistribution of wealth, of
Yeah.
knowledge, of assets, of food, time, skills, whatever it is.
Yeah. Jade has been talking about it a lot on Twitter. Just like celebrity status just like not meaning anything anymore. A
Mhm.
lot of celebrities reaching out to like their fans to get resources and
Oh
stuff like
yeah, and
that.
she's absolutely right. And she even said, like, I remember last year, like, oh, celebrities will be randomly like donating money
Just
to
giving
people and
out stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you see it all the time now. Like I forget, like I saw somebody on the internet like, "Oh, drop like your Cash App. I want to give my fans like $100." And I'm like, "Wow, like that's not
Megan Thee
any."
Stallion, I know that was Cash App. Like she was just like drop your Cash
Wow.
App, I'll send some money out. I
Yeah,
know
it
Nicki Minaj paid for like tuition and fees for somebody
really.
at one point. It's like it's a big thing. It's coming up. Like the
Yeah.
celebrities are realizing they have a ton of wealth for no reason.
for
and they should be
no
giving back.
reason, for no reason. And that's scary too, because think about the level of fame that is. Because fame can mean so many different things.
Yeah,
Fame can mean like you're famous in your community, your state. It doesn't have to be the whole planet. So when you think about how many people have notoriety, and then you think about like, I don't know, like Britney Spears level fame. I mean, that's inconceivable level of fame. That's like life altering reality level of fame.
literally, like let everyone knows your name. Everyone knows who you are. That's
And then
unfathomable.
like you said too, like Jeff Bezos and stuff, and I think just a lot of people having that conversation, even if you don't think, oh, like he's the enemy, just the idea that one human being, no matter who it is, can hold so much resource while simultaneously there's just so many people in the world that can't afford a bowl of ramen
Yeah,
noodles. That doesn't sit well with the soul.
it shouldn't sit well with anyone.
No,
Well,
no,
yeah,
it absolutely shouldn't. And a lot of people are getting way more uncomfortable with that. And that's going to be part of the Pluto return too as well. I don't think America is going to feel like capitalism is some God-given right
yeah.
anymore.
We're gonna
Like
eat the rich. We are finally gonna eat the
Manifest Destiny is just um a colonization in a pretty package. But it's still
rich.
crap.
Yeah, I,
But yeah, that's everything that I have for my cards. I think that's a good place to stop for me.
yeah.
But yeah, so many eights and lots of like coin energy. So
A
I'm really
lot of
looking
wealth.
forward to that.
I can't wait till it's my turn.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll stop there. Thank you so much again for doing this with me, and I hope that we get to do more projects together like this in the future because I had so much fun.
Yes, me too. I can't wait. I have a podcast coming up soon, so I'll hit you up
Oh,
for that
okay.
information to
Wonderful.
see if you can come
Fantastic.
on.
Okay, I would love that. Okay, so I'm going to tell you bye now and give you a little wave or stop our recording.